Hi everyone, Tally and Farrell here from Board of It, and welcome to our preview video for Pampero. We were very kindly sent this game as a prototype copy by the publisher, which is APE, for us to try out. So in this preview video, we're gonna talk a little bit about how the game plays, talk about the mechanisms, and then share our thoughts about the game. If you're watching this video when it comes out, Pampero will be on Kickstarter sometime in a couple of weeks, right? Or potentially now if you're watching this video in the future.
So, Pampero, they must have sent it to us because they know how much we love big, heavy Euros with a really dry, sometimes energy-based theme.
Energy-based theme, yeah, love it.
So, Pampero is a wind that blows through Uruguay, and this game is set in Uruguay, and the kind of theme, the idea behind it is that at the moment the Uruguayan government is worrying about where they're going to get their energy from because they don't have a lot of natural resources in terms of, I guess, like oil and gas and stuff. So they're turning to kind of green energies, wind, biomass and solar. And this game is focusing mainly on the wind aspect, where you're going to be building wind farms and kind of generating electricity for Uruguay and also Brazil and Argentina if you're feeling up to it. So this is by Julian Pombo, and he has previously, I think this is his first big, well, solo game you could say, sorry, not solo game for solo gamers, but game he's designed on his own, because he's previously worked with Vital Lacerda and done solo modes for some of his games. And he's accompanied here by artist Ian O'Toole, who's probably our favourite and certainly one of the best in the industry. He's done the iconography and the artwork. So let's just jump into the explanation. I'll now briefly explain how to play. The point of the game is to make the most money. You're a private company kind of collaborating with the government to generate wind turbines and provide green energy to the population. And there's going to be a kind of variable number of, you could say, rounds. Mm-hmm. And what we'd call a round is basically you'll go around the table, everyone will do one action. And in a round, you have 3 actions. So everyone will go around the table 3 times. Then you'll do an income phase. And then you'll move your kind of marker along. And along this track down here, you'll basically hit kind of like mid-game scoring twice, and then an end-game scoring, which will kind of trigger the end of the game. And when we say scoring, because this is a game where whoever makes the most money wins, but money is what you spend to do actions. There is this balance. So scoring is more just a way to kind of additionally get money by meeting criterias. So in terms of your actions, when you're going around the table doing one, you have 3 options. 99% of the time, you're going to play an action card. You could also pass and gain a battery, or you could take all your action cards back, because once they're played, they're kind of stuck there. You get one back around, but only the rightmost one on one of the kind of top or bottom of this player board. So it's eventually kind of a tough decision because it also moves your year marker up and makes the end of the game come around quicker. So if you're kind of wasteful, then the end of the game will be that much quicker. But kind of everyone has to get to that final space as well. So it's not that you can end the game early, let's say.
No.
So the action system is probably the most interesting bit because you have these action cards and the kind of actions are relatively simple. It might be put a wind farm down on the board, which generates you energy. It might be put a kind of electricity tower down on the board, and this will let you interact with that region because the board is split into zones and sections, zones A, B, and C. And then sections kind of A1, A2, A3. So having an energy tower is going to let you interact, because another action you can do is fulfill a contract. And this is basically spending the energy you made from building a wind farm and kind of giving it to whatever needs it, house, a resort, industry, whatever. And then you kind of fill that contract and it'll move these like income markers up. And every income round, how far along your markers are is how much money you get. And there's 5 different ones for different types of industry, properties, and so on. And obviously, the more contracts you're filling, the more money you're getting, essentially. And you can also, if you generate excess energy, you can put it into batteries. And then you can send those to kind of foreign countries like Brazil and Argentina for big rewards, basically. But yeah, as I was saying, this action selection system is really interesting because you always have to play to the leftmost spot, but you can play to the kind of the top or the bottom of the board. And you decide where you're going to do the action. So if I want to build in A, I'm going to play this wind farm card to the top here in A, and it's telling me that's going to cost me $8 and generate me 1 electricity. However, if I wanted to build it in B or C, I would go down here to the bottom and I would kind of reveal the place I want to build it because I have the option to build in B or C on this first one. So if I want to build in C, I cover up B, and now I can see that cost me $17 to build in C, but I'll get 4 energy because kind of as you progress, you get more energy, but it costs more. And then as I go along, the actions are actually going to get cheaper. But the problem is these cards are now kind of trapped because you don't get them back. You only get the rightmost one back from either side. So it's kind of this balance of playing your cards in the right order, knowing what you want to do later, having the one you want to get back the most kind of at the end, making things cheaper. Because when you inevitably fold and get all the cards back, you kind of make all the actions really expensive again. So it's quite tough.
Yeah, I guess just to say that you basically always have the same deck of action cards.
Yeah.
It's not like a deck builder or anything like that where your actions are, you're going to be getting more action cards. You might gain 1, 2, maybe 3 in the game by scoring certain bonuses, but ultimately it's the same set of actions that you play over and over again. So you're not going to be getting any more new cards in there.
So that's a brief explanation. It's very Euro-y, I'd say, in terms of you get a lot of rewards from doing stuff. So, you know, if you build an energy tower, you get to pick 2 rewards from this board, which gives you little bonuses. And there's a lot of comboing things together to get bonuses in that kind of really pleasing Euro way.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do we think?
So we absolutely love this game. I think we both said this, you know, could potentially become one of our top games, best games. I think when we first played it, the kind of phrase that came into my mind was, it is like a Vital Lacerda but light, because it has some of those same kind of elements with the interlocking actions and the different cascading actions, but it's not quite as deep and complex as that. But it's still, you know, you've got different bonuses and little cardboard tokens and lots of different decisions about what bonuses to take, but it's not quite so branching. You know, you're kind of doing the same actions every time. You need to build electricity towers in order to fulfill contracts. You need to build wind farms in order to create the energy, and you're going to be doing those same actions game to game. But what makes it really interesting is the different bonuses that you can score, which could take you in slightly different directions, even though the core of the game is kind of the same.
I think you said it was basically simple to learn in many ways, the actions especially, but kind of hard to master because of the branching paths you get of these different rewards. And I think another thing that makes each game interesting is you have different end game scoring. They're like randomized tiles and they'll push you. It might be that whoever has the most umbrellas is going to get $15. And at least from what we've seen, that can be like quite a lot of money in terms of the end game scoring. So that means everyone's going to fight for umbrellas and build towards certain spaces, and it can push you and pull you based on what you kind of have out in these scoring tiles. Yeah,
and just the way that everything interlinks creates some really interesting kind of decisions and dilemmas. So in order to fulfill, I can't say that word today, fulfill certain types of contracts, and maybe the sea level ones, which will get you more income, you have to build towers, because if you take your electricity towers off your player mat, that will kind of unlock certain types of contracts. So you can't really sit and just do wind farms, let's say, for one game. You have to interact with it all. But like you said, there are different kind of mechanisms in place to make the games feel different and to push you in different directions. I think one time I tried to just focus on maybe building in the first few rounds, and then another game I tried to focus on getting as many sort of A-level contracts in the first round to see if that could get me more income and help me along the way. So I think every game we've played of this where I've finished and said, I just really want to try to do something slightly different in the next game, which is also big positive for me that you feel like that at the end of a game.
Yeah. So should mention as well that it's the only thing we did. It's for 2 to 4 players, and there's a 2-player side of the map and a 4-player side of the map. And this is a 2-player side. This is also obviously a prototype, so things are supplement to change. But I mean, for a prototype, it looks pretty good, right? I mean, this is like definitely the quality that you get from some big name, kind of Euros. Very happy with the prototype at least. Yeah. So I hope it's the same.
And we really love the graphic design, because like we said at the top of the video, Ian O'Toole always smashes it. So,
That's one thing I do want to say here is that I think it's a really excellent merging of gameplay design with graphic design. Yeah. I think it really helps the game flow, and I think it's just some excellent work.
I think that really helped me in the first game to pick up what we were supposed to be doing, because the iconography and the symbology is just easy to grasp. And then I was like, after a few rounds, okay, here's what I need to do, and I can just look at the board and kind of know what I need to do. And we had 2 other players play with us, and they were able to grasp it pretty easy. And I think the graphic design comes a lot into that.
And they enjoyed it as well.
Yes.
Especially, should know that one of them probably hasn't played that many like heavy games, and she was able to pick it up, and she had fun. Yeah. So I think just before we move on to say that I think the highlight is definitely the action selection system, the way the cards work, and the decision of what you're going to build where, and maybe based on how much it is, and that you don't get them all back and you have to take an action to do it. I think it's just really sharp and feels really fresh, basically.
Yeah, it's a nice twist on the kind of Euro genre, right? The action selection system makes something novel of an energy Euro game. Yeah,
it's just the puzzle of, again, like we're saying, simple to do the action, but the puzzle of when to do what action, where to play that card, and when you take it back is like expansive, basically. Yeah. So obviously, I mean, we love these energy games, and I think we should say that it reminds me a lot of, not a lot in terms of gameplay of Pipeline, but the kind of feel, if you played Pipeline, of very harsh the first time you play in terms of getting money. You actually got a negative score. But once you do it and then you do it again, you watch yourself progressively get better as you learn the systems, and then you have these really fun, tense games. Yeah. So that's something, if you like that kind of thing, to keep in mind. But we do have some negatives, but not really.
Things to be aware of.
Things to be aware of. They're definitely, I don't think, the negatives, but very uninteractive between players, especially at 2-player, because you really do have that space to explore. And we thought it would be more engaging at 3 or 4 players, because basically you can use anyone else's stuff to do anything. Basically, you need to fill a contract and someone else has an energy tower there, just pay them the money instead of paying it to the bank. You need to build, use someone else's bulldozer, pay them. But it didn't really happen. You and another player funneled some money back and forth. Yeah. And then me and the 4th player didn't really do a little bit, but not too much. But then it didn't seem to matter in the end, because I probably got the least benefit out of that funneling of money, and I ended up winning.
And I feel like it wasn't out of necessity.
No.
Like the other player could have just built their own energy
Could have
tower,
waited
right?
and spent a bit more
Yeah,
time.
I think it was just for the fun of doing the interaction, which is also totally valid, but we didn't get forced to use each other's stuff.
No. And I think we had a great time playing at 2, at 4 without the interaction, but just know that it's not, if you read the rules, I guess it might sound like it would be, interactive, and I think there's enough space that it wasn't the case, but maybe they'll make it smaller and because it's a prototype, I don't know. And then the other thing with these bonuses, so you get 2 of these bonuses every time you build a tower, and the better the place you build it, the better bonus. And the thing is that some of them were instant bonuses and some of them are ongoing. And us, and I know you've said this, and our friend, they found it difficult because you put them here on your player board, but there's no symbology as to which is ongoing and which is one time. Mm-hmm. And I think it would be good if when the final product comes out, they could do show that, get a red outline for ongoing, or because if you just scan your board, it's easy to miss something that you should be getting every income or whatever. And I just think that's the one point in this game where maybe graphic design kind of fell through. So there's no way to discern what to keep in track these ongoing bonuses. Yeah. Because it's not even necessary to put your immediate ones here, right?
No.
You can just put them off to the side and then keep the ongoing ones here, for example.
Yeah.
And then last thing is my personal one. I know you don't feel the same. Is you have these transformers, and when you fulfill a contract, you put the contract in your player board, and that's the whole thing. That's a really great system, but we won't get into. And you put this back on the board to mark. And I fully say that maybe there's something I'm missing, because we do have prototype rules and we have to print them out ourselves, and it's not finished product. But I don't quite see what the transformers are doing, because you put the contracts in the slot. It's not like you need a kind of reminder or anything. You can see what you've done. Yeah. And for me, the transformers add to the setup a lot, because there's so many of them. They are going to add to the cost of the game, and I just don't really know what they're doing.
Yeah, I don't feel quite as strongly about this as Farrell does. I totally get your point. I can't see the point in it from a gameplay aspect, but I do think if you didn't have them and you just took the contracts off the board into your player board, the board might look a little bit sparse and empty. And I think that is just, for me, it is an aesthetic thing. Yeah. But I think it looks nicer as the game progresses and the board gets busier and busier, and it's, you can see the progression of the game. But yeah, that is an aesthetic thing. It is not necessary for the gameplay, like you said. But yeah, I don't really mind them either way.
Sorry to interrupt your video, but at the moment we are doing I guess you call it subscriber pledge drive. And if you've seen this before, you know this is something we've never done. But we realized that in the last month, 84% of people who watched our channel were not subscribers. So if we can even get 1 to 5% of those people to subscribe, that is a huge difference for us in our subscriber numbers. And you'll also know that we've never really done anything like this before, and we've never asked for anything from anyone before as a channel. We don't have a Patreon, we don't ask for donations. There's only ads on our channel because YouTube started running them anyway, and we thought, well, we're not going to let them make money of us for free. And we just do this to help you find the best game possible. So if you've watched us before and found it helpful or entertaining, please consider subscribing. Same goes for if it's your first time watching us and you find this helpful. And importantly, there is a reason you should subscribe, and it's because it helps us become a better channel. The first thing is, the more subscribers we have, the more attractive we are to developers and publishers, which means they're more likely to send us interesting games that we can share with you. And the second part of that is, if they send us these games, it means we don't have to pay for them ourselves, which then means the money that we would spend on those games, we can reinvest in the channel. Maybe get more equipment, better equipment, make the photography better. And, these are really ways that we can hopefully improve the channel, which we haven't been able to do at the moment because our output is on the games. So please consider subscribing. It would really mean a lot to us. Every subscriber we do look at and really appreciate. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much. And please consider clicking the bell icon, because we are also at half as many people as is the bottom of average who do that. And again, the more people who are notified when a video comes out, the more people who will watch it, and the more views we get. And same thing for the publishers and designers. It makes us more interesting to them. But back to the video.
So I guess that's all we want to say for now. So we don't go on too long. But I mean, if you like these big heavy Euro games with a dry theme, can't recommend this enough, basically.
Yeah, I think this could be really nice, because just touching back to the interactivity, it could be really nice for someone who maybe loves the idea of something like Barrage or Pipeline, maybe Barrage more, but obviously the interactivity there is so brutal and mean that I think that could put some people off who don't like the kind of confrontation of that. I think this could be a really, really great option for you if that's you.
Yeah.
Because it's tight and there's a lot of puzzles and decisions, but it's not mean in that way, right?
No,
you have
it's not
enough
mean.
breathing room to kind of do
It's
your
just-
own thing if you want to do that.
It's just interesting because of the action system and unlocking the bonuses and plotting a path through the game. So if that's the kind of thing you like, if you like these types of Euros where you're racking up kind of comboing bonuses together when you do these actions, and you like that, you like heavier kind of Euros, it's worth picking up just because of this like unique action selection system, like kind of card play, let alone, you know, the goodness that is the rest of the game and how fun it is.
Yeah.
I mean, we're really happy with this.
Yes. Loved it.
And yeah, so this game will be out on Kickstarter in a couple of weeks, I believe, or now if you're watching this now. And we just want to say thanks for watching. You can ask us anything if you have any questions. And thanks again to the publisher for sending us this prototype, because we've had a great time.
Yes.
And thanks for watching. See you next time.
Bye.